Your neighbor paid 25,000 euros more for his bow thruster than you did. And it works exactly the same. He probably doesn't even know it. Hello, I'm Tomek from Yachts. In this video, I'll show you why electric thruster systems are no worse than hydraulic ones, and why the yard that built your yacht knew exactly what it was doing, regardless of which thruster system it fitted. Ferretti 824.5 meters, 76 tons, bow thruster electric. Princess Y 85 meters, 78 tons, bow thruster hydraulic. Similar length, similar displacement, comparable base price, both yachts in the 5 to 6 million euro range, they do exactly the same thing. They move 75 tons of hull sideways in the marina, so why do they have entirely different thruster systems? In a moment, you'll see that this is not a matter of quality, it's a matter of engineering architecture and a very deliberate pricing strategy by the builder. Let's start with something you won't hear in the showroom, the price. And it depends entirely on how the builders play with the numbers. The answer is genuinely fascinating. Imagine, you walk into a Princess dealership and say, I want a hydraulic bow thruster, without stabilizers. How much does it cost? The builder would have to price it honestly. Let me show you how. Sleipner hydraulic bow thruster unit only, 18,000 to 22,000 euros. Plus a dedicated hydraulic pump driven by the main engine, 8,000 to 12,000 euro. Plus high pressure hydraulic lines running the full length of the yacht, 4,000 to 6,000 euros. Plus reservoir filters and control valves, a further 4,000 to 6,000 euros. Total 35,000 to 45,000 euros, and that's for the thruster infrastructure alone. And now the electric bow thruster system on the Ferretti 800 side power SEP 210 Pro, 14,000 to 17,000 euros. A pair of dedicated 180 batteries, 3,000 euros. Short copper cabling, 1,000 euros. Total 18,000 to 22,000 euros, half the price. Hydraulics, 42,000 euros. Electric, 20,000 euros. The difference, 22,000 euros. And this is where it gets interesting, because that hydraulic quote from the builder is anything but transparent. Because if they had said outright, pay 45,000 euros for hydraulic plumbing instead of an electric system, they would have shot themselves in the foot, marketing-wise. Every savvy buyer would stop and ask that one question. Why should I pay an extra 25,000 euros for a hydraulic thruster when the electric one does exactly the same job? And it would hit the nail on the head, because that is exactly the right question to ask when buying an 80-foot yacht. The builder's reputation would take a hit, so the builders do not confront buyers with this choice directly. They do it differently, cleverly. They bury the cost of the hydraulic plumbing inside the stabilizer package. The hydraulic bow thruster option only becomes relevant once the customer is already investing in hydraulic stabilizers. At that point, adding hydraulics for the bow thruster costs next to nothing. All the infrastructure is already in place. The client barely notices they paid for it. But if the client opts for gyroscopic stabilizers or no stabilization at all, the yacht is fitted with an electric bow thruster for 18,000 to 22,000 euros, which does exactly the same job. This is not a scam, this is clever cost engineering by the builder. You, as the buyer, simply need to see through it and not be misled by the notion that an electric bow thruster is somehow a compromise. Let me tell you something more. In my brokerage experience, clients who deliberately chose the Ferretti 800 over the Princess Y85 have told me the same thing after a year of use. And these are not people who cut corners. These are people who made a conscious choice of electric thruster architecture paired with gyroscopic stabilization, and not one of them has any regrets. To make it performs exactly the same for me, they maneuver identically. By the way, I record a separate episode on yacht pricing that nobody explains to you. Link in the description. In this video, we stay on course. The fundamental question is, if both thruster systems do exactly the same thing, why does the builder choose hydraulics in some cases and electric in others? The answer lies in the yacht's architecture. Stabilization on both yachts Princess Y85 and Ferretti 800 is an option, not standard. Did you catch that? Optional. Most buyers choose it, of course, because without stabilizers, an 80-foot yacht in any kind of swell is an unpleasant experience even for a seasoned seafarer. But it is a deliberate choice made at the point of signing the contract, and it comes with a significant price tag. Sleipner fin stabilizers on the Princess 100,000 to 150,000 euros. Mitsubishi ARG gyroscopic stabilizers, or Seakeeper on the Farid 80,000 to 120,000 euros. Regardless of the type, a premium stabilizer configuration represents a substantial investment. Now look at the logic from the builder's perspective. 4 configuration scenarios, 4 scenarios, 4 buyer choices, 4 builder decisions. First, Princess with hydraulic fin stabilizers. The builder fits a hydraulic bow thruster because all the infrastructure is already in place. Second, Princess with a gyro stabilizer instead of fin stabilizers. There is no longer any hydraulic infrastructure on board. The builder fits an electric bow thruster. Just as on the Ferretti. Third, Ferretti with a gyro stabilizer. No hydraulic infrastructure on board whatsoever. The builder fits an electric bow thruster. Logically, there is nothing to amortize. Fourth, the client on either yacht wants no stabilization at all. They also receive an electric bow thruster, because there is no justification for running all that hydraulic plumbing. 3 out of 4 scenarios, electric, only 1, hydraulic. And here is the key takeaway from this video, one you will never read in any sales brochure. Pay close attention. If hydraulic bow thrusters were truly superior to electric ones, builders would always opt for hydraulics on every yacht, regardless of the stabilizer configuration. The builder simply selects the thruster type that best fits the rest of the yacht's architecture. This is not a question of quality, it is an engineering decision, and that is the thesis on which this entire video is built. Because regardless of the thruster type, the physics of 76 tons works the same. You push the joystick, the motor, electric or hydraulic, immediately spins the propeller within the tunnel. The propeller displaces water laterally. A lateral force vector is generated, but the bow still doesn't move. The vessel carries a massive inertia of 76 tons, and the water provides resistance. It takes 3, sometimes 4 seconds for her to begin physically responding. 76 tons of displacement in water. 3 seconds before the bow begins to move. This comes as a shock to many skippers. Whether you hold the joystick for 5 seconds or a full minute makes no difference. There is a physical maximum lateral acceleration, which is a function of the thruster's power output, not how long you hold it. She does not respond any faster the longer you hold it. After 3 seconds, you have reached the maximum rate of turn. Ferretti and Princess, identical physics, identical inertia, identical water resistance, identical bow behavior, regardless of what motor drives the propeller. And now the second thing that almost nobody in the industry explains, cavitation. Cavitation in the thruster tunnel is a purely hydrodynamic problem, not electric, not hydraulic, hydrodynamic. So it depends on what is happening between the propeller and the water, not the motor driving it. After several seconds of continuous operation, the propeller begins to draw in air from the water surface. The propeller begins churning a water-air mixture. Thrust drops by as much as 40%. And now pay attention. Hydraulics will not punish you for holding too long. The motor won't burn out, the thermal cutout won't trip, nothing fails, but thrust drops just the same as in an electric system. You simply don't know about it because nothing has tripped. A captain on the Princess holding for 30 seconds maneuvers just as slowly as one on the Ferretti. And this is the point that 80% of skippers fail to grasp. Short bursts are not a workaround for electric thrusters because the motor overheats. Short bursts are physically the optimal maneuvering technique for any thruster type because only they harness the yacht's inertia and prevent cavitation. So how do you correctly operate a bow thruster regardless of which type you have? Short bursts, 1 to 3 seconds each, release the joystick. You allow the yacht's mass to continue turning under its own inertia. You watch the bow. Another 3-second burst, another pause, another observation. Find the rhythm. Short bursts do not generate cavitation. They fully harness the yacht's inertia, available to you at no extra cost. They minimize wear on the equipment. They are quiet, no noise in the saloon, and they give you time to observe. You watch how the bow responds and adjust the power of your next burst accordingly. This applies to both thruster types. This is not a rule for electric systems. This is a hydrodynamic rule. Now, one scenario in which hydraulics genuinely wins, when you need to continuously counter a sustained, powerful force. For example, coming alongside the dock beam on in a 25-knot crosswind and holding the bow in position for 30 seconds to avoid shearing off. In this scenario, hydraulics delivers a constant, uninterrupted force. It wins. But on the Frio 800, with its proportional bow thruster, it can be done as well, held at a constant 5% power. The motor does not overheat. It works, only the technique is slightly different. General principle in a demanding maneuver with a crosswind above 20 knots. If you have an electric bow thruster, here is how you do it. Make a slow, controlled approach to the dock with plenty of room, primarily using the main engines and rudder for positioning. Then engage the bow thruster in the final 10 to 15 seconds to bring the bow across. A short burst, a light touch. Walk the stern in. Hydraulics would give you more margin, but proper technique effectively closes this gap. And one important limitation of electric systems that hydraulics does not have: duty cycle S2. The manufacturer of the side power SF210 specifies that the maximum continuous single-use operating time is 2.5 to 3 minutes. After this, the bimetallic thermal cutout trips and waits for the motor to cool down. This is your total time budget for any given maneuver. The constraint applies only to sustained and uninterrupted operation. Using 3-second bursts with 5-second pauses throughout a 10-minute docking, your cumulative motor runtime comes to roughly 60 to 90 seconds, well within the limit with considerable margin to spare. With proper technique, you will never come close to it. What about failures? Both systems are mechanical and components can fail. Electric motor under normal use, carbon brush replacement is required every 3 to 5 years. Workshop service 600 to 1,200 euros. Solenoids at similar cost. Hydraulics, seal replacement, oil change and valve inspection every 5 to 7 years, 3,000 to 8,000 euros. Statistically, the failure rate of both technologies is similar and low. As a broker, I have seen more burnt-out electric thrusters than hydraulic failures. But 90% of those cases were down to operator error. Someone held the joystick for several minutes. Burnt windings repair cost 10,000 to 15,000 euros. Hydraulic systems are more resistant to this kind of mistake, more forgiving. It almost doesn't matter which bow thruster you have. So what truly matters? One thing: kgf, kilogram, force. This is the only metric that truly matters when selecting a bow thruster for a yacht. Not kilowatts, not horsepower. Kilograms of lateral thrust generated by the thruster in static water. Watts only tell you how much power the unit draws, nothing about how much water it will actually push through the tunnel. A 10 kilowatts motor producing a meager 100 kgf, an 8 kilowatts motor producing 200 kgf. Kgf doesn't lie. Engineers at Sleipner, Vetus and Quick have developed selection tools that factor in windage area, the exposed hull and superstructure surface above the waterline. The taller the superstructure, the longer the yacht, the greater the lateral wind load, the more powerful the thruster required. For 60-ft yacht, you need 150 kgf. For 80-ft yacht, you need 270 kgf. For 100-ft yachts, you need 420 kgf. And here is the absolute key: 240 kgf from an electric bow thruster delivers exactly the same lateral force to the yacht as 240 kgf from a hydraulic one. kgf is a physical unit independent of the drive technology behind it. The bow responds identically. Ferretti 800 240 kgf electric, Princess Y 85 240 kgf hydraulic. Identical behavior. What does this video tell us? 5 things. I'll be straight with you. First, electric bow thrusters are not inferior to hydraulic ones. They perform identically provided they are rated correctly in kgf. Second, choosing a thruster system is choosing the yacht's architecture, not a quality ranking. Third, the correct operating technique is identical for both types: short bursts, pause, observe. Fourth, duty cycles 2 for electric systems, 3 minutes of continuous operation, not cumulative. Fifth, look at kgf, not kilowatts. For an 80-foot yacht, aim for 240 to 300 kgf. And a bonus to leave you with: if anyone ever tells you an electric bow thruster is the builder cutting corners, they don't know what they're talking about, or worse, they're trying to mislead you. The builder makes a rational engineering decision that works in your favor as the buyer, because you don't pay 25,000 euros for hydraulic infrastructure that your yacht's architecture simply does not require. These are your savings, not theirs. And one more thing, a bonus you won't find in any brochure: 2 specific questions to ask your broker before purchasing an 80-foot yacht. First, what is the thrust rating in kgf of the thruster? Not kilowatts, kgf. If the broker doesn't know this, they are not your broker. Second, is the thruster proportional or binary? On a yacht at the 5 million euro price point, it should be proportional. An electric bow thruster on an 80-foot yacht is not a compromise. It is a logical architectural choice. If this video added value, subscribe to the channel. I present yachts from a perspective you won't hear in any showroom. Hard data, real prices, concrete engineering decisions, no sponsored narratives, no builder affiliations, always on the buyer's side. If you are planning to purchase a yacht between 70 and 90 feet and would like me to guide you through that process as your broker, the contact link is in the description. We operate out of Monaco, Cannes and Warsaw. Always on your side, never on the builders. And if you want to learn more about yacht pricing that builders don't openly advertise, click on the video appearing now. Take care, see you in the next one.